Which begs the question, what are the four players that the Indiana Fever should core to make sure that no team can touch them heading into the expansion draft? Remember, you just lose these players straight up. You don't get anything back for the players. They're gone. We didn't get anything for Temi, did we? No, exactly.
The Indiana Fever just dropped a bombshell that's left fans stunned. 4 players are gone, and the front office is suddenly in full panic mode. The question now isn't who's next to leave. It's how fast they can rebuild to protect Caitlin Clark before things get ugly.
The Indiana Fever have sent shockwaves to the WNBA by allowing for key players, Sydney Carlson, Odyssey Sims, Brianne January, and Bree Hall, to become unrestricted free agents. Their contracts have expired, and with WNBA free agency currently frozen due to ongoing CBA negotiations, the Fever can't re-sign or replace anyone. This has left fans frustrated and the front office under heavy scrutiny. These players weren't just bench fillers. They were crucial in leading Indiana to a surprising playoff run despite Caitlin Clark's injury. Veterans like Sims and January provided stability, leadership, and experience that held the team together. Now, all 4 have joined Athletes Unlimited Pro Basketball for the offseason.
Actually knows what it's doing. Because one thing's clear. The Caitlin Clark effect can't save this team forever. At some point, results have to match the hype. And if this offseason is any indication, the Fever better get serious, or they'll go from team on the rise to team that blew it faster than anyone expects. So what's your take? Did the Fever make the right move by cutting these players? Or are they setting up another disaster before next season even starts? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoy real talk without the fluff, hit that like button, subscribe, and share. We've got more WNBA updates coming soon. Stay sharp. For you, did the Fever just make a smart move or a huge mistake? All right, let's get straight into it. Because Indiana just turned their entire offseason into a soap opera. 4 key players from the Fever roster are now unrestricted free agents, and their contracts have officially expired. We're talking about Sydney Carlson, Odyssey Sims, Brian Turner, and Bree Hall. And before anyone tries to calm things down by saying, it's just business, no, this is a full-on shakeup.
Shot clock down to 6 for the Fever. Turner, up fake, Turner kicks it, Hall three-pointer.
These aren't bench warmers. These are players who helped carry the team through a brutal season,
Keeping their options open as unrestricted free agents once the WNBA's free agency window opens in February. The timing couldn't be worse. Indiana is already battling chemistry issues and injuries. Losing leadership and depth at this stage undermines efforts to build around franchise stars Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston. Clark is the face of the Fever, a generational talent whose presence revived ticket sales, boosted ratings, and made the team relevant again. But without a strong supporting cast, even her brilliance won't be enough to carry them. To make matters worse, top scorer Kelsey Mitchell is rumored to be on the trade block, adding further uncertainty. Coach Stephanie White faces a challenge of managing a potentially depleted roster, while rival teams like the Aces,
somehow Indiana keeps trying to reinvent the wheel. They've got Boston, a dominant big who can anchor the paint for the next decade. They've got Clark, an elite scorer, passer, and leader. They've got a fan base that finally cares. And they're still overthinking it. Instead of adding shooters or defensive wings, they're cutting the players who actually kept them afloat. This isn't chess. It's checkers played blindfolded. And unless something changes fast, Indiana risks wasting all the progress they made last season. So what's next? Well, free agency officially opens in early February, if the CBA doesn't delay it again. Until then, Fever fans are left waiting and hoping the front office is filled with injuries, fatigue, and drama. And now they might not come back. Let's break it down. The Fever made a huge push last season, even without Caitlin Clark down the stretch. They managed to fight their way into the WNBA semifinals, pushing the Las Vegas Aces to 5 games, which honestly shocked a lot of people. They weren't supposed to be there. They were supposed to crumble after Clark's injury, but they didn't. They hung in there because players like Sims and Turner stepped up. Now, those same players might be gone.
feel to be back in Las Vegas?
It feels great to be back, but I'm going to pivot to something else. Sally, is that cool?
Yes.
All right. On behalf of my team.
Say it publicly, but history shows it happens. We've seen it in the NBA. We've seen it in college. And now the WNBA might learn the same lesson the hard way. The front office needs to realize that loyalty isn't automatic. It's earned, with effort, direction, and consistency. And fans are seeing the cracks. Comments online are brutal right now. Fans are saying things like, "Here we go again," and "Protect Caitlin at all costs or lose her." You'd think the team would learn from the backlash that hit earlier in the year.
And every member of our union, I want to be clear, we remain committed to negotiating the next CBA with the league and the teams in good faith and privately. We know that our league is growing, and we believe that it's imperative that our CBA reflects the growth that we've experienced in the league, and that players should be seeing part of those earnings. And so I am excited to be back here, but unfortunately there are more pressing things going on with our league.
All four, Colson, Sims, Turner, and Hall, are heading to Athletes' unlimited pro wave that carried them through 2024. But momentum fades fast when fans see headlines like 4 Fever players gone and team in limbo ahead of free agency. The longer this drags on, the more trust they lose, not just from players, but from fans, sponsors, and even media outlets that finally started taking the WNBA seriously. Let's also not ignore the bigger question here. Is the Fever front office really protecting Caitlin Clark? Because right now, it doesn't look like it. It looks like they're gambling that Clark will keep selling out arenas no matter what. But anyone who's watched sports long enough knows that doesn't last forever. Even the biggest stars can't carry losing teams for years without burning out. If Indiana doesn't surround Clark with the right teammates, she'll do what every frustrated superstar eventually does. Look for a way out. She won't.
And wings continue strengthening theirs. Fans are divided. Some see this as a necessary shakeup, while others view it as self-sabotage. With free agency frozen, Indiana's hands are tied, and each day of silence in the front office adds to the frustration. The Fever finally found momentum last season, but these moves risk undoing it all. If Indiana doesn't act fast once free agency reopens, they risk wasting Caitlin Clark's prime years and the rare momentum she brought to the franchise. For the Fever, this off.
And now, while the Fever are trying to figure out who to keep, other teams are quietly watching, ready to poach talent the moment contracts expire. It's like watching someone leave their car running with the keys inside and the door wide open. What's even crazier is that this all comes during the most uncertain offseason the WNBA's ever faced. Because remember, the CBA negotiations are still ongoing. Until a new deal is signed, teams can't officially move forward with free agency. So technically, no one can sign, trade, or extend contracts right now, which means the Fever are frozen in place. They can't re-sign anyone, and they can't plan their roster until this mess gets sorted out. That's the worst possible situation where players rotate teams weekly and earn points based on performance. It's competitive, fun, and a good way for players to make extra money between seasons. But here's where it gets tricky. When players go to other leagues, it's not just about money. It's about opportunity. It's about keeping their options open. And in this case, all 4 are unrestricted free agents, which means they can sign with anyone once the WNBA's free agency window opens. And that window opens in February, right before AU starts. So now Fever fans are asking, did Indiana just lose 4 of their most reliable veterans? Let's not forget, this team already has chemistry issues and injuries. They barely held it together last season after Clark went down. Now they're losing experience, leadership, and depth, the exact 3 things. This isn't how you win a title. This is how you frustrate your fan base. Now let's talk about something the front office probably doesn't want to hear, the CBA situation. Because it's not just player contracts causing chaos. The WNBA's entire financial structure is hanging in the balance. If negotiations drag on, free agency will stay frozen, meaning these 4 released players can't officially re-sign, even if they wanted to. So while the Fever are waiting to figure out who's returning, the rest of the league is preparing backup plans. And here's where Adam Silver might have to step in again. because this situation affects everyone. The Fever can't finalize deals, the players can't plan their futures, and the league can't promote next season properly. It's chaos disguised as business. And that chaos hits the Fever harder than anyone else because their entire brand depends on momentum. The Caitlin Clark is the superstar. She's the face of the franchise, the reason for sold-out arenas, and the reason people even care about Fever basketball again. So this isn't just about filling roster spots. It's about protecting your most valuable asset, your generational talent. If Clark doesn't have a solid roster around her, this could go downhill fast. And Indiana knows it. They've got money, plenty of cap space, in fact. But money doesn't fix bad roster decisions. Now, to be fair, not everyone's job is safe. Even Kelsey Mitchell, one of the team's most consistent scorers, has found herself in trade rumors.
Averaged 20.2 points per game last season, 3.2 assists for somebody who never passes the ball, from what I'm told. She averaged over 3 assists last year. She never passes.
You've got Lexi Hull and Sophie Cunningham, both fan favorites and defensive anchors, being treated like afterthoughts. You've got veterans heading to off-season leagues because they don't even know if they'll have jobs in May. And the front office? Quiet. Silent. Not a single statement to calm fans down or explain the plan. Meanwhile, Coach Stephanie White is left trying to make sense of a roster that might look completely different by training camp. Let's talk about her for a second. White's system works fine on paper, but it has limits. She can't coach a run-and-gun style when half her team is gone and the rest are rehabbing from injuries. If the Fever don't help her by bringing in depth and shooters, it won't matter how good Clark and Boston are. They'll be outgunned by teams with stronger rotations. Again, the Aces, Liberty, and Wings aren't standing still. They're stacking rosters, locking up talent, and building chemistry. Meanwhile, Indiana's over here.
Ball, you'd think she'd average like 1.5, 1.2. 3.2 assists for Kelsey Money Mitch, and shot nearly 40% from 3, 39% from the three-point line for Kelsey Mitchell last year. When her and Caitlin Clark are in the lineup together, lethal, deadly, the best backcourt in the league.
Multiple teams, including the Dallas Wings, are reportedly eyeing her.
Don't believe it'll happen.